In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Perfect. Welcome back, everybody, to a very merry edition of the Friday Free-For-All. That's right, no Fridays off, except maybe for next one, but that's another time of the story. I appreciate you all for being here, man. Wanted to, give everyone an opportunity to talk about this Panther football team before Christmas jumps off. Listen, as always, the link is in the description to the YouTube video and on the Facebook video. If you want to join the show, you're more than welcome to come and be a part of this incredible discussion. We have some longtime members, some stalwart members of the C3 family. We have some brand new people here, but we also have some Friday Free-For-All faithful, man. Let me start with my man, coming all the way from the South Pole. It's jolly old St. Nick. St. Nick, what's up, brother?
Ho, Merry Christmas, everybody. Have you all been good? I don't think so, because Matt Rhule is your coach this year. That's the equivalent of getting coal in your stocking.
Dude, this Santa's so much meaner than the one I remember as a kid, dude. What the hell? Dude, happy you could be joining us, as always, man. Next up, let's go to Kevin Boshoven. Kevin, what's going on, brother? Oh, by the way, there isn't a single sport where South Carolina beats Clemson. Merry Christmas, bro.
Merry Christmas.
What's up, bro?
Nothing. Just chilling here on Christmas Eve with my laziness of my Santa outfit compared to Nick's. I just have a
dude, you're good, man. You're good. Next up, my man Drew. Drew, what's going on, brother? Welcome back to the Free-For-All.
What's going on, fellas? I guess I haven't been good this year because Santa won't get me what I want for Christmas. Matt Rhule is still our coach, so I guess I'm out of luck with that one.
And it's looking like it might continue to be that way, man. We're going to talk about it here soon. Kenneth Panther Pickle, what's going on, bro?
Nothing. I'm pretty good, guys. But Santa, all I want for Christmas is 2 front teeth. Come on, man.
I'll see what I can do, Kenneth. I'll see what I can do. But if I do that, I can't get rid of Matt. I
skip the teeth, brother. Get me right there.
Perfect, dude. Perfect. And listen, you know him and love him. He has the golden pipes. The man, the myth, the legend from the Tuesday night C3 Panthers podcast. My man, CK. CK, what's going on, brother?
Well, good evening and Merry Christmas to everybody. I'm hoping everybody is having a good Christmas Eve and you guys are going to enjoy being Santa for the evening for your children. For those that are watching, Santa is real and he will continue to be real. So
it's real to me, damn it.
Yeah,
it's real to him, 100%. And joining us the first time on the Friday Free-For-All, this is my friend, my brother. I've literally known him since we've been in elementary school. We have great football conversations, so I had to get him on the Friday Free-For-All. My brother Vince. Vince, what's going on, man?
What's going on, Panther family? Merry Christmas, everybody. Yeah, I'm excited to bring some points and try and make a little sense out of what's going on out there.
Love it, dude. Happy you could join us. Everyone listening in the chat, 22 viewers right now, hit the like, hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button. That helps us grow Panther Nation and continue to grow the C3 Panthers podcast. Without further ado, Joe Person and Jonathan Alexander are both reporting that they believe that Matt Rhule will see a third year here in Carolina. My question to everyone is, what could David Tepper's reasoning be for keeping a head coach who has seemingly seen his team regress even worse than what they were last year? Whoever wants to jump in.
I think it's just because he's always done well the third year, and he gave him a 7-year deal. Like, if he don't do anything this year, next year he's done. If he comes back.
Yeah, I mean it's seeing how bad we've been this year, it's hard to warrant a third season. But I've always said it was David Tepper. It would be a test of his ego to determine whether or not he would even be willing to fire the head coach that he paid a 7-year contract. Go ahead.
The bad part about that is, okay, I just said the way I feel. I believe we're going to be blown out for these last 3 games. I believe we are going to be outright humiliated.
Yep.
But if Matt Rhule stays past that point, how could you as an organization allow him to go draft the quarterback you want? Because I believe he will, and get the people he wants to run so far a system that has failed, to put together a team that so far some of those players don't trust him. I mean, how can you look at Robbie Anderson and say, oh, yeah, I'll be around. You can take DJ Moore. I'll come back. You're going to tell all these guys, okay, yeah, let's do all this crap again for the behind a different quarterback or Sam Darnold. Because if Sam Darnold's here, which he may well be, but I keep thinking back, well, Tepper cut the cord on Teddy Bridgewater. He may cut the cord on Sam, or he may just say, let's keep him at least till preseason. We could cut him then and split the cap in 2. So who knows?
Yeah, and listen, that's a great point. Like if you do that, if you fire Matt Rhule, as much as we feel like it's a necessity, you're pretty much admitting to the fan base we're another year or 2 away before we're able to actually get this thing going.
Yeah.
So, and by the way, Brad Dugan clarifies that they said that they believe that he will be back next year, but they weren't sure. So basically, this is Joe Person and Jonathan Alexander kind of hypothesizing what they think will happen. Which, I mean, hey, their opinion is as good as any.
Yeah.
CK, now that we've had some time to kind of, live this down a little bit, do you feel like David Tepper is making the right decision, or are you still on board with this? Matt Rhule has to go.
I mean, I'm still on board with the Matt Rhule has to go. I think we all, at the beginning of the season, we all believed that there was, no matter what happened, that he was going to get a third year. And the reason I say that is if Tepper were to fire him, then Tepper will have a track record of having a coach for 2 years, firing them, having a coach for 2 years, firing them. And then you have that discussion that they were having for the Browns for so long of, is Tepper just an irresponsible owner, just letting people go before they can get a culture built? Especially given that Matt Rhule has been notoriously known for building a franchise to be have that culture by the 3rd year. Do we see an avenue in which that's going to happen? Probably not. But right now, listen, I mean, next year is a wash anyway. I don't think there's anybody who's going to come in and fix what we have going on. If anything, what will happen next year if we go really, if we're just bad, is it's a tank season. And then we're building up some resources for a new coach to come in. That's the part that I look at this as. If we were to fire Matt Rhule and hire a new coach, that new coach will have such a shitty situation that we're going to be judging him after 1 year too. Right. And I don't think that's fair to a new coach personally.
And what coach would want to come in after the last coach got a 7-year deal and got fired after 2 years? And then the quarterback.
You're also signaling to all of our players that we don't really have a good idea of what we're doing.
Right.
I mean, just recently, and I tried to find the clip, but all I can find is like the 5-minute long version. Now Skip Bayless, I can't believe I would ever say this, is out here making good points. For once, we're being talked about on the major sports networks, and they're talking about how we're a clown show. And now it's apparent, and I'm happy that it's happening because, we're Panther fans. We follow this. We understand the dysfunction that's happening on the football team. But if you're just, a casual NFL fan, you might look at, someone like Samuel Acho putting all the blame on Cam Newton for being terrible and think, oh well, the quarterback just sucks in Carolina. Sam Darnold sucks. Cam Newton sucks.
Well,
and they just have to do whatever they do to move on. Yeah, go ahead, Vince.
yeah, there's one thing I really want to get to. I don't want to stray too far away because I think it's a really good point. But that is a fair point about the major networks. When have they ever given the Panthers their due? Literally ever, especially Cam. Exactly. So screw them. But with what we're saying about Rhule and like David Tepper, I do wonder if there is a disconnect between them. They both talk differently. They seem to want different things. I don't know. Matt Rhule really seems to believe he's building something, and Tepper has a very win now sort of feel to him. Like he wants results now. He's very he comes off that way. So I always wonder if, like between them, what page they even think the other is on. So there's one log out there, and then, the other real question I have is how long does it take until Matt Rhule's patience will collide with like David Tepper's need to win? Especially when we seem to be going the wrong direction.
Well, if I can add those 2 cents in again, it's my understanding that Matt Rhule is going around to the locker room telling everybody that third year is where we get it. That third year is where we get it.
Right.
What happens if that third year gets here and it's not what everybody wants it to be?
Exactly.
What happens if his rookie quarterback or his veteran quarterback still has those issues? Well, you fire him in the middle of the season. Who takes over then? An offensive coordinator who don't know what he's doing? I strongly believe, and this is just my pure thought process, that if Matt Rhule's fired, just like Ron Rivera, North Turner did, I believe Snow's going to walk away in the middle of the season with Matt Rhule, and you're going to be without a head coach and an offensive coordinator. Our defensive coordinator
and offensive coordinator. Sure. Let's be honest. The offensive coordinator is his best friend from high school. So
right.
That's right in the middle of the season. So
but he might get the head coaching position.
Yeah, in order for Tepper to fire him in the middle of the season, he's got to make sure he has a staff that can run it when he's fired in the middle of the season. So one thing I keep thinking about, and I may be wrong, but what if David steps down with Matt Rhule and says, how about some things aren't working. We're going to pull your power away. Rhule says you can't do that. Tepper says, I'm the owner. I'm going to do that. Then they kind of come to a mutual agreement. It's time to part ways. Granted, we're going right back to that issue of parting ways or firing either way. But I just see a bunch of trouble if you fire in the middle of the season.
Yeah, and you're right. If Matt Rhule is out the door, well, Nixon's going with him, and we know that Snow's going with him too. Like those are his guys. They literally came here just for him. I don't know. And then this is something that I think Drew has said on other free for alls. I mean, we've all said it at some point, but the more that you signal to the world all this dysfunctionality, all the free agents that you want to come here, they're not going to come here anymore because they see a situation in flux that doesn't offer any security. So if you're a head coach, if you're a player, whatever it is, Carolina probably isn't going to be high up on your list of destinations when you look at what's going on here.
Unless you're from Temple or Baylor.
Yeah, right. Unless they're from Temple or Baylor, and then Matt Rhule will have no hesitation bringing them on, and they know they'll be able to play here. So
I mean, it really just, I don't know about what kind of feelings that brings up just from a fan perspective. It's like, well, then what are we rallying around? You know what I mean? Like that's scary to me. If he fails like in a mid-season fallout situation, it's like, man, what kind of future does that paint? How many years down the line further does everything get shoved backwards when everything falls apart? And I do blame a lot of it. I don't know. It's probably not fair of me. I'm really hard on Tepper. Like that mentality he's got. Make no mistake that shit trickles from the top down. Think about like where you work and how your bosses act. Like how he is, it affects everyone and the kind of pressure they're under. And it's, is that what we need in the kind of organization we want to be? You know, is those kind of questions we have to really think about. At least I think.
That's a fantastic point, and then that's actually a good segue to the next thing that I want to talk about. We have to talk about Cam Newton because, and really the quarterback position in general, because I mean this team is going to live and die by the quarterback, and if you're going to continue to bring Panther fans into Bank of America Stadium, Panther fans need to know that there's someone under center that we can rely on, that we can depend on, and we just haven't seen that. It brings up, what do we do? Do we go forward with Sam Darnold, who's going to cost $18 million next year? Or do we go with Cam Newton? Well, Robbie Anderson.
Quarterback that you can depend on, but you can't depend on a quarterback with that offensive line that's in front of him.
Perfect point. And you know who said it? You know who said it the best, Drew? My man, Robbie Anderson. And I'm just going to let y'all listen to his words when he was asked about Cam Newton in his press conference.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that, being a quarterback is obviously the most watched position in the NFL, but also the most highly criticized position. There's a lot of times that the quarterback, for instance, it looks like things are their fault or they miss a throw, but it could be the O-line, it could be this, it could be that, but they get the blame for it because they're in the spotlight. And, me firsthand being with Cam over these past 6 weeks and seeing how much dedication, how much time that he truly does put into it, and seeing probably things that are being said and him getting blamed for things that's kind of not his fault, and people not really knowing the work that's going on behind the scenes. And when you watch the film, things that sometimes might not be his fault, I think it's kind of a discredit to him, as a person, as a player. And I think that's, it is what it is, but I just kind of wanted to put that out there, because I see it firsthand. I think that if you take any quarterback, no matter who it is, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, which I feel like he's to that level of a player and has done things to that prestige throughout his career, I think you put them in a situation where halfway through or more than halfway through the season, you put them out there, give them the starting position, expect them to grasp the playbook, expect them to, deal with changes up front and this and that, fire a OC, that's a lot of variables and odds thrown against somebody, opposed to them having a full offseason to be with the coordinator the whole time and build that chemistry. That's a very rare, circumstance. And I don't think many quarterbacks or many players overall would succeed to the high expectation that somebody would expect them to. And, I just feel like everybody expected Cam to come in and lead us to wins, but it's not just him. He's not. There's 11 players on the field. He's one of the 11, and he doesn't play defense. And there's a bunch of things, but I feel like everybody expected him to come, just save the day, which he is trying to do, but it's not all just about him,
I take back every negative thing that I have ever said about Robbie Anderson in my fucking life, dude. That was so honest. It was so to the point. And I love that he defended him, man, because that's part of what I've been saying on the podcast. It's impossible to truly judge what kind of football player Cam Newton is on this offense with everything as bad as it is. Like with the offensive line being a bunch of turnstiles. I mean, we've had, I believe, 8 different players play offensive line this year for us. It's been absolutely abysmal, man. Shout out to Robbie. And that was a perfect encapsulation of everything that I've been saying about Cam.
I agree. I mean, I want to make a point now. If you want to segue back to this, I just think it's important. Right now, I think everything that's happening with our quarterback situation, everything that's happening with Cam Newton, with our offensive line and everything, does that not lead to the reason why we would probably give Matt Rhule another year? Not because he is capable of turning it around, but what good comes out of firing Matt Rhule for a new coach next year? With limited resources in the draft, with a quarterback guaranteed $18 million in Sam Darnold, who hasn't proved that he is worth any dime of that yet. And then obviously, and not even uncertain, a little bit of uncertainty of whether Cam's going to even return. Do you think Cam's going to want to return with a brand new, coach? I mean, I don't think so. I think he's going to be like, listen, I'm tired of learning new systems at this point.
I mean, that was the whole reason why I sent Tony that question for the debate my take last week. Yeah. Was there was more to it than what he had put on there. But I mean, obviously you have to shorten it down for the content and that sort of deal. So my thought was, if we were to keep Matt Rhule for another year, allow Scott Federer to trade away as many picks as possible. Make it so that way the picks come in 2023, or we get a bunch of 6th round picks for our 4th round pick or something along those lines. Okay, make it so that way a majority of the assets that we gain from all these trades come in 2023, and then can Matt Rhule at the end of next season. We don't have any capital going forward into next season other than money to make things work.
Yeah.
And money is not going to get us to where we need to be. So next year, we are continuing to rebuild, or we're starting over.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
That was one of the things that I said in the debate my take with Tony, is that maybe it would be beneficial to us and behoove us to kind of trade down in a little bit. Hey, real quick, let me welcome KPM. KPM, can you hear me, man?
Yeah, I can hear you. Merry Christmas, guys. Good to see you.
Merry Christmas, man. Welcome to the free-for-all. Yeah, what's on your mind, man?
Nothing much, man. I'm just listening to listen to what's going on. Obviously, I want to ask you guys this question here. So when we released Cam the first time, it obviously has set the franchise back. And I want you guys to give your estimated take as to how long this franchise has been set back because of us releasing Cam the first time.
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. I'd love to hear everyone's answer, too. In my mind, at least 3 years, if not more. Now, granted, I don't know that it'll take another 3 years before we're able to turn it around. But, I mean, when you look at this is going to be a wasted year, with Sam Darnold and Cam halfway through the season. Then you had last year with Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy isn't even on our football team anymore. So by de facto, that's a wasted year. And then we've been talking about, well, if the Panthers draft another quarterback, how many reasonable expectations are you going to put on your rookie quarterback to come in and be successful in his first year, especially behind an unproven offensive line? That's a fantastic question, KPM. I would say at least 2 to 3 years. Who else wants to jump on that?
I definitely say 3 to at least 3 minimum 3. It might be even more. I'm sorry. Everybody, I see people in the chat going, we need to draft a quarterback in the draft. No, we do not. Matt Rhule should not be allowed to draft a quarterback in the first round, period.
True.
We need to.
I don't think we need a first round pick. Trade back in the 2nd or 3rd.
Hey, Matt Rhule wanted Sam Darnold. Matt Rhule can live with Sam Darnold next year.
Yeah.
It was his guy. Let him die with him.
Right.
You make your bed. You make your bed. You lay in it.
Can I say this? In a vacuum, 1 year it set us back. In a vacuum. Okay. It's not the release of Cam, it's the actions thereafter was the problem. Right? Obviously, I think keeping Cam made a lot of we're still set back by letting him go, right? Because I think you should probably want to come in with a quarterback that has MVP experience, playoff experience, and Matt Rhule didn't do that. He went ahead and got Teddy Bridgewater, who had very limited experience in the NFL in total. Outside of sitting, he was a backup on the Jets and didn't make the starting lineup, guys.
Right.
Let's be real about some stuff, right? The reality is the Saints wanted Taysom Hill over top of Teddy Bridgewater. Come on. And the amount of money they're paying Taysom Hill is just ridiculous for a backup quarterback. And so we decided to go out and get Teddy Bridgewater. But on top of that, even if you look at those two things in a vacuum, the letting go of Cam and then signing, Teddy Bridgewater, that sets us back 3 years. Add in the fact that we released Teddy Bridgewater, we're paying him still, and then we traded and picked up a 5th-year option to Sam Darnold. Add an extra 2 more years. I think it's 5 years that this entire thing set us back.
And that might be a little on the the smiley side of it. The
Right.
way I would put it, instead of an actual number, because you could all be right. I think everyone's kind of really like on the beat. My thing is how long until these guys learn from their mistakes? That's my thing, because we have said all these things, and the chat's going off about it. Everything that's being said about Cam has been said all the way back until he was here the first time. Like, these are the same things, and at this point, I'm concerned, just as a genuine fan of the talent on this team. These guys don't appear to be able to managing their talent very well, and that's scary. So I don't know how far back it's gonna set the rebuild, but probably significant. I would say like 5. That's where I'm sitting.
I was listening to Daniel Jeremiah on Rich Eisen the other day. I just followed Rich Eisen's YouTube page and it popped up, and they were talking about Urban Meyer being fired, and I thought that he made a great point. He was saying that these college coaches, they come into the NFL wanting to prove how much they know, like wanting to show how much they know and how big of a football guru mastermind they are, rather than learning how it's a different coaching an NFL team than it is coaching a college team. I mean, yeah, you're coaching football, but, coaching men with families and kids is a lot different than coaching a bunch of college students that are still trying to make the grades in class.
That's why you got experienced assistants to help you.
Yes. And the fact that he never brought in any of that experience around him, it makes him all the more foolish.
And to clarify, he has never brought in NFL experience. That's the problem I have. He brought in a bunch of college coaches, and
except for right now, whenever with Joe Nixon.
Right. Well,
the most NFL tenure that he has out of his coaches, more than even himself.
Right, but even with his tenure, he was again, one of these hires that it was his high school best friend. I mean, at this point in time, I'm not even sure. I mean, obviously his resume is better, but he wasn't even an offensive coordinator on this level, right? I mean, he's had some good years, obviously has some experience, but like, even with that, we have an offensive coordinator that isn't, obviously you can talk about Joe Brady, but he was the original. But anyway, I do think that when you look at Rhule, the problem I've always had, and some people might point out the 90s dynasty of the Cowboys, right? Because Jimmy Johnson came from the NFL or from the college, and he brought all of his college personnel and everything like that. It was a completely different world then. They didn't have salary cap issues. Like, they could just bring superstar over superstar over superstar. They actually
did a rebuild and traded Herschel Walker and got drafted.
Exactly.
Trading him away.
Right. And so it's absolutely insane. Even if you want to try to use that as comparison, like, he did a great job building a team, and he didn't have he got a quarterback coming out of college that he could build on. We didn't do that. We decided to go with a guy who had been on the sideline, on the bench for pretty much his entire career as an NFL quarterback, and just used the 5 games that he had with the Saints where he won, not even convincingly, as leverage. Like, see, he's an incredible quarterback. People were like, oh, he's the heir apparent to Drew Brees. There was no evidence of that. And that's where my question mark, that set us back 5 years at least, like you said.
Hey, real quick, Karen Choi points out Skip Bayless, and I mentioned it earlier. This is the clip in question, just a short little ditty of Skip Bayless talking about Carolina.
Yeah, base.
Oh, I don't know if you were able to hear that. It's kind of soft, but he basically said the Carolina Panthers are a clown show. And, I mentioned it earlier. Now this is starting to be, this is like common knowledge in the media now. This isn't stuff that's insular and isolated to our little circle here. But going forward, man, and me and CK kind of debated if Cam Newton's arm is, we both agree that it's not what it once was,
right?
But is it going to be enough going forward? And I think that's a good question. How many of you, I know most of us want to bring back Cam, but if we did bring back Cam, what do you think is a reasonable contract to bring him back under? And we'll go with Jolly old Saint Nick up there.
I'm thinking 2 years, probably somewhere in between $40 and $47 million.
So you mean like
Damn.
so? So I don't think they're gonna
Contract.
get,
No.
I don't know if they'll give him that much, but my thing is you're gonna have okay, we know that you're gonna be paying Sam Darnold $18 million. We know that, right? But at the same time, it's just like this year, if Cam is going to be our best option going forward, which I'm still not convinced that he's not our best option, dude, we're going to have to pay him something. And then with this offensive line being as bad as it has been, dude, that's what I'm saying. We're kind of but even if you're not a fan of Cam, you have to admit there aren't very many more good options here.
Can I tell you my take on the Cam Newton side of things, of him coming back next year? If he comes back, he is not getting a pay raise, guys.
No,
because you can talk about all you want about how the offensive line played bad, but the problem is over the past 2 years, he as a quarterback hasn't shown. And there's a certain point you can't pay somebody more because he couldn't show what he was possibly capable of doing because other people were that bad, right? You just can't do it. It doesn't work in the NFL like that. You can't pay him more this year to come back next year because there were other people that were bad and we just want to see if he's good, right? We can't do that.
Can I add on to that as well?
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, when it comes to paying Cam, we got to think about who else where you have as free agents this offseason as well. You got Stephon Gilmore, Hassan Reddick, Dante Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
So how are we going to evenly distribute that money before we pay Cam? Because there's some other players that we need to prioritize over Cam, in my opinion. We definitely need to bring back Hassan Reddick. I definitely think we should bring back Stephon Gilmore and maybe Dante Jackson as well.
Mm-mm.
I don't know if Hassan Reddick is going to come back. I think that one of the reasons why he was snubbed from the Pro Bowl is because of who he plays for, and I think he knows it too.
Yeah, but don't you think if the Panthers were better, I feel like if the Panthers were contending to be a playoff team right now, which technically we are, but that's bullshit. Everyone knows. But if the Panthers were making a legitimate push right now and we were still one of the better teams in football, I think Hassan Reddick might have gotten a nod. I don't think
Cody, look at 2015. In 2015, we had Luke Kuechly, Thomas Davis, Josh Norman, Cam Newton. We had all those guys in the Pro Bowl that year because we were actually winning.
Didn't we have some old linemen go too? Didn't Trey Turner and Ryan Khalil?
Yeah, Ryan
Khalil and Trey Turner.
No Webb went in as a special teamer.
So I'm just saying, we had all those guys that were in the Pro Bowl that year because we were winning. And I see these people in the chat going, we need a quarterback on a rookie deal. We don't need a quarterback on a rookie deal. Why would you have Matt Rhule draft a quarterback? And 9 times out of 10, if he makes it through this season, he's getting fired next year. No coach is going to want to come in and not be able to have his own quarterback.
Right.
You were going to give Matt Rhule a chance to draft a quarterback that he's probably not even going to have for a full season before losing his job. And then tell a new coach he's got to come in and coach a guy he may not even want.
What happens if Matt Rhule comes in next year, wins, but the following year loses? If he gets a winning season and then the next year he puts.
I don't even see how we can have a winning season next year with the capita that we have going forward and what we're getting ready to lose.
Right.
How are we going to build the offensive line? As people have said, we want to sign Hassan Reddick. Can we get him back? I don't know. They want to sign Stephon Gilmore. Who knows what that? Dante is not coming back. You're going to have
I agree.
over $30 million as far as cap space, and you still got to look at filling a few holes here and there, and you got the draft coming up. Where are you going to find the money to sign Cam Newton and to bring in offensive linemen, quality offensive linemen?
You gotta give them the Patriots deal.
Version of Pat Elflein and Cam Irvin.
So, hey, I know you might not want to hear it, but we got that Temple connection. Kenny Pickett coming through the draft. Matt Rhule loves his Temple players.
Is that Matt Rhule?
That's Matt Rhule at Temple, and that's Kenny Pickett, who is draft eligible this year.
Is
He
that
was the
jersey
Heisman-
tight enough?
Yeah, right, dude. It looks like he's cutting off his nipple
He
circulation.
can't even breathe.
Dude. But yeah, that's what a lot of people are talking about right now, man. Like, is Matt Rhule going to draft a quarterback? And I agree with Drew, even though I don't think he should have an opportunity to basically ruin another quarterback. I mean, in my mind, I could very easily see a scenario where the Panthers want to draft a quarterback in the first round,
Jimmy
especially
Johnson
if they have
did
a guy
draft
that
his
they like.
quarterback
Say
out of
again?
Miami. Jimmy Johnson drafted his quarterback out of Miami. He went to Dallas.
Yeah. I mean,
He
dude, there's a lot.
Corey Aikman out of UCLA.
Yeah, but he also drafted Steve Walsh, and he was competing with Aikman for a little bit.
Yeah, we on the list. Rookie
So-
quarterback is how we afford money for the offensive line. Yeah.
Yeah.
Build the O line first.
Absolutely.
All right.
I think we need
You're
to.
going to have another David Carr on your hands if you try to bring in a rookie quarterback and then try to build an offensive line on the fly. You're going to end up with David Carr part 2.
Mm-hmm.
But let's throw this out there. Brady Christensen's been lining up at practice on the left side, on left tackle.
Yeah.
Per se, we go in the next. Pro se, we go into next 3 games with Brady Christian performing good on the left side. That's going to give Matt Rhule enough ammunition to say the left tackle is fixed. The right tackle is fixed. We've got a center for another year.
But Kenneth, doesn't that make him look like a hypocrite to Matt Rhule? If the entire season he has been telling everyone who will listen that Brady Christensen's arms are too short to play left tackle, but yet you give him a 3-game sample size. If it does look like enough, then you say, "Oh yeah, now that's our guy."
Well,
why
you're
wasn't
right.
he our guy the rest of the season?
But there's a way out for Matt Rhule. Matt Rhule could sit there and look at David Tepper and say, "But I did say that I was wrong, and now I'm learning from my mistakes." So there's a way out for Matt Rhule when David Tepper asked him that. We got to remember, we don't like Matt Rhule's coaching ability, but Matt Rhule's not stupid. If he does this, he's asked to already be planning a response to Tepper.
Yeah.
He's already got to be responding to that. Or he may just simply say, "Listen, I didn't think Slater was a quality left tackle. Look, I looked and realized I was wrong. I make mistakes. I'm sorry." Or
By the way,
he could blame it all on
the Pro Bowl too.
Yeah, exactly. He could, and for all we don't know in the setting of that draft room, he could blame all that on the ex offensive coordinator.
True.
See, here's the issue that we're going to have.
Offensive coordinator, he got rid of a Pro Bowl middle linebacker that we're actually still paying for.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah,
We'll be paying for him next year too.
Here's the thing: we're going to realize real quick how bad our offensive line is whenever we put Sam Tecklenburg in as our center. Okay.
Yeah.
He looked horrendous. I know, Cody, you said you were all about him in the preseason, but man, he had the guy, I think it was the left guard there, helping him out the entire first game. And I get it. That's his first NFL game, and I know it's the preseason and everything like that. But dude, you can't do that against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You got to be able to hold your own. And Sam Tecklenburg just isn't that guy. I mean, look at what happened in that New England game.
Oh, yeah. Remember, they got Trent Scott waiting to come in and play center, so we're all set.
Oh, Jesus.
But guys, listen, you can make the argument that this Sunday, when we play the Buccaneers, we're going to be playing the best edges on a D line, maybe that we've played all year. Shaquille Barrett, Jason Pierre-Paul, like they have good pass rushers on the edge. What is Matt Rhule going to say if Brady Christensen keeps whoever's playing quarterback clean the whole game? You know what I'm saying? Like
that would be the best sign of life in the last month and a fucking half.
I agree with you 100%. But at the very same time, if Matt Rhule if you're David Tepper, if you're David Tepper and you already know for a fact that Matt Rhule sucks and you're going to fire him at the end of the year, nothing he does in these 3 games matter. Nothing
Yeah,
really, with the exception of blowing out everybody in the next 3 games.
I think we actually might win the next game with the Buccaneers not having receivers at all.
Well,
that's
that's
Antonio Brown, and they got Gronk, and Ronald Jones is still in the backfield.
So listen,
we ain't got a good selection. We don't have a good selection of corners either. So
they also just signed Le'Veon Bell.
He's done. He's cool.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I'm gonna tell you, if I was Sam Tecklenburg, I'd be getting a better health insurance policy because Vita Vea is gonna feast.
Yeah.
Oh,
dude, I forgot all. We all need to pray that Cam Newton doesn't get killed. especially his
quarterback systems. You better
Sam will.
Darnold.
Well, look,
I would like to see Sam out there, not to be mean, and this sounds horribly. I know it does. It sounds like not a Panther fan statement, but I want to see Sam out there so Sam could get killed. So it'll be another reminder to Matt Rhule that, hey, Sam's not cutting it. I'm sorry, we put $18 million in next year. Yeah. He's not working. It's not working. He's not a starter. He's not a backup. I'm sorry, Sam Darnold doesn't need to play in the NFL.
Well, hopefully then he would notice the mistakes and what's really wrong. If it's his own, pride and joy getting absolutely murdered, then he could say, "Well, Sam's holding on to the ball too long."
He won't say that, though.
He didn't really say that before, though.
This season.
I mean, he didn't. I think I heard him say one time that Sam needs to do something. I think it was after the Cowboy game. No, it wasn't after the Cowboy game. One of the other games. But it wasn't really even a cut down on Sam. It was more of a well, he's under so much stress, he's not doing this correctly.
Yeah,
and
basically
it was pretty much,
every single thing that he didn't do for Cam Newton, he did for Sam Darnold. He went to bat for Sam Darnold, but then yet when the offensive line was beating the shit out of Cam, well, now Cam's holding the ball too long.
You also got to fix this. I know you just got done having the conversation if Cam Newton returns, but let's look at this though. If Matt Rhule's still in charge, does he even offer Cam Newton a contract right now?
Probably not.
I mean, listen, I think David Tepper owns the final say so on this.
Yeah.
I mean, as much as he's given Matt Rhule a bunch of leeway to do whatever he wants with the Carolina Panthers, I think David Tepper is still Big Papa. And if he says, hey, Cam Newton equals better ticket sales and more asses in seats, then I'm gonna go with Cam Newton. And by the way, back to that Robbie Anderson clip, Robbie Anderson put so eloquently everything that I've been trying to say about Cam Newton, that when you look at the scenarios that he's been asked to come in under, the middle of the season, different offensive coordinators, maybe the worst offensive line that Cam Newton has ever been behind, it's really hard to give him a proper evaluation. Yeah, no Christian McCaffrey, no running game. How are you going to give Cam Newton a proper evaluation?
I would say the same for Sam Darnold too, though.
That's exactly what I would say. It's the same for anyone who's under center. It's the same problems, and that's my concern.
Look at it this way. Cam Newton's only been there for 6 weeks, and he's got guys stepping up, coming to his defense. How many of them say Sam Darnold's defense?
You remember Robbie Anderson going out? Robbie Anderson was pissed off at him on the sideline that one game.
But Robbie has no reason to be pissed off at him.
Yes.
And you know what? Here's one thing that I will say too. I try to take everybody's opinion with a grain of salt, and I try to listen to the entire press conference to see what exactly they say. Because let's face it, we can all sit here and say that Robbie has not played to the level that he was supposed to this season. Do you all agree?
Right. Sure. He's not going to get half the stats he had last year.
Okay. Here's the thing. He was in that press conference saying that very first thing that he would do if he was GM is give himself a pay raise. Like, bro, no. I'm sorry. You do not deserve a pay raise.
No one on this team. I wouldn't do that. No one on this team. Oh, yeah. I wanted to talk about that real quick. Brian Burns goes to the Pro Bowl and Hassan Reddick does not.
Stupidest thing I've ever heard in my
Yeah,
life.
yeah. I want to hear y'all's opinions, man. I said my opinion on Debate My Take and during the beat check. What did you guys think? People think I'm being too hard on Brian Burns. Like, people think I'm saying Brian Burns sucks, and I'm not saying that at all. But we can all agree, right, that compared to our expectations of Brian Burns coming into this year, he has not been that all-star defensive end that we want him to be. Is that an unfair statement?
But you got to realize Brian Burns got in because Chase Young got hurt.
Yeah, I would say that.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Who's left off the Pro Bowl that didn't get in for his position?
For a defensive end?
Yeah.
No. So he would have been an outside linebacker. And to their credit, so Hassan Reddick is an outside linebacker.
Wow.
And to their credit, there's a lot of really good outside linebackers playing football.
And that's why, he didn't make it, and that's why Brian Burns did. If Chase Young had been healthy, Chase Young would have got that spot.
So you think that it's not like Brian Burns is being overinflated. You think it's just a matter of injuries. Like there were too many good Pro Bowlers at outside linebacker and not enough at the edge position.
Yeah, I could definitely do it.
That sounds fair.
They said, didn't Reddick get like a lot of fan votes?
He was number one in fan
number
voting.
one, amongst like, wasn't it all?
So
it
wouldn't matter if he would have
He led all outside linebackers in fan voting.
Damn, man, I really do feel bad for him. I really do, man, because he was the only Panther player, in my opinion, this year that truly deserved to be a Pro Bowl player.
He can still get in. Like, somebody can drop out for the Super Bowl.
Trying to see who was at the top of that list because I can't remember who it was, but yeah, I mean, if there's an option, I think that he's first alternative, first alternate. So I mean, there is still hope for him. My problem, if I'm being honest with you, with the whole thing, is I don't like it. If you look at it, he was voted higher than any other player by the fans, and that's so irritating to me. Like, I know that there's coaches and players that are involved in that, but I mean, like, coaches and players really thought that Brian Burns was that much better that he got voted as opposed to somebody else. Like, I just don't. Yeah.
Well, as I said, CK, it was the position. If him and Reddick played the same position, then I think Reddick would have got it. But Reddick being an outside linebacker and Brian Burns being a defensive end, as I said, if Chase Young was healthy, Chase Young's got that spot, not Brian Burns.
100%.
You think that Chase Young would have it even though he hasn't lived up to his potential of last year?
Chase Young got it last year.
He got in last year, but last year was also the defensive rookie of the year.
Yeah, but Brian Burns had better numbers than him last year.
But his name would have carried him.
Okay, I can see that.
It's a popularity contest. Chase Young would have got that spot.
That's the reason why he won defensive rookie of the year.
It definitely is.
Won defensive rookie of the year last year.
Yeah, the Pro Bowl definitely is a popularity contest.
I was looking for Zane.
Yeah, dude.
Zane got injured right before.
Yeah, he wouldn't. By the way, the funniest clip that you have ever seen are non-Panthers kickers trying to line up for field goals. Dude,
did you see Pat McAfee tweet about it?
Yeah, I did.
You can do it.
I saw it. That's hilarious.
Boy, they were clowning us on Sirius XM radio about that. They're like, how can you have an NFL team that does not have a backup plan for a kicker?
Everyone said that. Everywhere.
They went on for like 15 minutes clowning Matt Rhule in Carolina.
Somebody said that the reason our punter couldn't do it is because he has a short leg.
Oh no, he has the Brady Christensen syndrome.
Yeah. Oh no.
Oh, dude, unfortunate.
But it really comes back to, what do we do? All this money is in so many different people. I'm so scared. Someone hold me.
Santa's got you.
Santa's got me. Yes, thank you, Santa.
Santa's got.
Yeah, Brian Burns,
I just hope we don't.
Not an outside linebacker.
Yeah, and dude, that's another thing. Like, Brian Burns, to me, he puts his hand in the dirt a lot, but I still think his best position would be a 3-4 outside linebacker. And I don't know that. I don't know that. I don't know that the Panthers are ever going to be that kind of defense again, especially under Phil Snow.
Which is why he should be top trade bait.
Yeah.
We
Him
need
and DJ Moore.
a defensive end who can set the edge against the run. Because what do? They run at Hassan Reddick and they run at Brian Burns because neither one of them can set an edge.
We could probably get a quarterback if we trade those two.
What do you think we would get for Brian Burns?
He's a Pro Bowler.
Now that he's a Pro Bowler, we're going to get
Brian Burns in a first-round pick. That might be opening up some doors for something.
And you get like a DJ Moore, Ravens, Patriots, late round.
I traded Brian Burns and a DJ Moore in a first-round pick to get a quarterback.
Yeah. They're saying, was it Wills? I think Liberty quarterback. He could go in.
Malik Wills.
Wills.
Yeah, I would love that, dude. Dude, I've even thought like if the Panthers trade back like into the later first round, pick up a second or third round pick, pick up an old lineman, pick up Malik Wills.
Yeah, that's how you rebuild.
I mean, we kind of have to, right?
Yeah.
What other options do we have?
So, like right at the end of this new year, I'm doing my full. I'm jumping right on the college film, man. I've already started to look at players at the top of the draft, like Aiden Hutchinson, guys like that, Kayvon Thibodeau. Dude, there's some fantastic edge rushers in this draft.
Those top guys will be long gone before we get on the board.
Yeah, well, I mean, here's the thing, though. You know, the Panthers are probably going to be picking top 5, top 6.
They got to trade that pick.
I mean, maybe so, but
we got to trade back and get our draft capital back.
Exactly.
And I mean, it's drying up quick.
YGM needs to be starting. YGM should be starting.
Oh, for sure.
There's a lot of guys should be
in a lost season, I mean, I know they're going to say statistically we're not lost, but in a lost season, is this not the time to be playing your young players? Like, I mean, I just can't.
Absolutely.
I mean, I know we've said this time and time again, but right now is the perfect time. Now, here's the problem. Is a lot of people are going to say, well, you don't want to ruin their confidence against a good team like the Bucs. Right now, for instance, YGM, you want him to get after Tom Brady because there's nothing that's going to boost his confidence more than getting a sack against the GOAT, right? To be able to say that, add that, right? It's just the reality of it, right? Now, as far as offensive line, maybe I kind of get the mindset here. Or even like from a quarterback perspective. Like if you wanted to put a new quarterback in it, at the helm, I could see maybe why they're not going to be starting Sam Darnold this week as opposed to, keeping Cam there. Because if you put Sam Darnold in there and he's going to have to deal with that pass rush, he's immediately going to just go crumble, right?
Yeah.
Where Sam Darnold, where Cam Newton, I think has the ability to kind of stand tall in the face of a lot of that pressure. We've seen it time and time again. But our offensive line is about to get just yoked, dude. I'm be honest with you, dude. Like that when you watched that game last week, or like even a couple weeks ago, but not the game that they lost, but the game. I mean, even the game that they lost. I mean, they held the Saints to 9 points. I mean, that's not even like that impressive. They did a really good job of maintaining Hill, right? And the pressure was always in his face too, so it wasn't even like he was really benefiting there. But yeah, that defensive line is the only thing. As far as corners are concerned. Like, what is the game plan? Just out of curiosity, what do you guys think the game plan is this week against a Bucs team that is known to have horrible corners right now? Their cornerback, their secondary is not good. The only thing winning their games on the defense is that defensive line because it is nasty. Their corners, they're down to like grocery store baggers at cornerback there, right? And then you look at the offense. They are losing their wide receivers. You might mention a couple of the. We can talk about Ronald Jones. We can talk about that. But when you take away their two best wide receivers, that shortens that game plan tremendously for this squad. Yeah. Like
Scotty Miller,
exactly. Scotty Miller. I mean, right now the good news is that we can have a defense that's focused a little bit more on Ronald Jones. I don't know if Fournette's playing or not, but I think he's out. And Le'Veon Bell, I think, is just literally a body to throw in there when Ronald Jones needs a break.
It's just because Fournette got hurt.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Mm-hmm. So I think this is an opportunity for this defensive line and this defense to actually show up and do exactly what the Saints did to Tom Brady last week, which is frustrate him cause his rhythm to be off and to shut out the Bucs, who are considered a Super Bowl caliber team. I'm telling you, I told you guys last week, they don't look it. The only thing that gives me hope about this week is I think our offense is about to shit the bed again. And I think that's the only reason the Bucs will win, is because I don't see that offense of theirs doing very well against our defense, but definitely better than ours.
Well, that's
the two main blockers against Vita Vea are going to be Tecklenburg and John Miller.
Yeah. Oh, dude, we're gonna die, man. Oh, dude, that's rough, man.
We're just gonna run a heavy set. Like, we're just gonna run where we have we're gonna put like 3 tight ends on the line. We're gonna put all our backup offensive line. We're gonna have 2 wide receivers, and then everybody else is just blocking. Like, we're just gonna have
Patriots offense.
And guys, for our defensive line, I don't think we get Derek Brown back this week. I think he's still out from the COVID list.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I think so too. So before we go forward, during the holiday times, people try and put on their best face, try and act all nice, try and act all good. But listen, I know who you all really are. And if you're in this chat room, you're a bunch of freaks. And you know what? You have a very specific fetish, and we know that you come here to get that fetish fulfilled. So without further ado, CK, talk to these degenerates.
Well. It's Christmas time, and you haven't hit like on this video yet? What type of gift giver are you? This is the one thing we ask you to do, and you haven't hit the like button? I'm just going to tell all of you, you're deserving of coal unless you hit the like button right now, because this right now is your subscriber shame.
Subscriber shame. 80 people watching, 35 thumbs up. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the notification bell for every single time that we go live, man. We're here all year round. We never take a Tuesday off, man. We love doing this. We're happy to be here. And look, you have more fun with us than you do watching the Panthers. Be real. You know what it is. So let's continue this conversation. Who thinks that the Panthers actually have a chance to beat Tampa Bay? Kevin, I know you were saying that you thought it was a possibility.
I do, and I don't want it to be. I want to lose out, get a higher draft pick, but I just feel like this will be the game we win. Yeah.
This is the type of game that we win. I agree.
So if we win, well, go ahead, Vince.
Look, I'm very, I don't know, I'm kind of a romanticist. I believe in our players a lot of the time. Like, I want to believe that we can perform. When we turn it on, we go on. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, sure. Yeah. There's a world where we win that game. But for me, I don't believe in our coaching staff. I'm sorry. If our players find a way to win, Matt Rhule and company will find a way to lose it. And that would be my fear. But I believe there's a world we go in there and we give these guys a huge run for their money because we can.
Yeah, definitely. If the Panthers end up winning, how do we do it? I mean, CK, you mentioned, they're pretty much playing a janitorial crew at cornerback, but that means you actually have to throw the ball on them. That's why I wonder. And another thing, Matt Rhule continues that we're going to be running with some form of 2-quarterback system. Cam Newton is going to play, but he has already said that they plan to give Sam Darnold some reps. I don't know what situations you would want to bring him in under, but it's like, what are the Panthers? Is there any hope to us using a 2-quarterback system? Like,
it doesn't work.
That says our offense will never find a rhythm.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. I don't care what you say. Somebody's going to point out the Saints. The Saints had Drew Brees at the helm, and they had an athletic quarterback in Taysom Hill come in that gave them a little bit of a rhythm change, right? But it never took the questions. It never took the crosshairs off of Drew Brees as the leader of that offense, right? Right now, we don't have an established quarterback that has been able to set that tone, who's able to take. I mean, I think we can all agree Cam Newton's probably a leadership role in that locker room, especially based on what you're seeing from these players coming out and defending him, right? But at the end of the day, I think a 2-quarterback system without having, like we've talked about it, like Cody, your defense for Cam Newton is that he hasn't gotten a rhythm with his wide receivers. Well, why the hell are you going to continue to throw in this 2-quarterback system and make that even harder for them to get a rhythm together?
Right.
Yeah.
It's asinine, man. I truly don't understand it. I can't make sense of it. And again, I feel like the only reason it's happening is because Sam Darnold is literally who Matt Rhule bet the farm on.
Right.
He thought he was going to be able to bring Sam Darnold back here and rejuvenate his career, but the cat is out of the bag. We are not a better situation for Sam Darnold to thrive than the Jets were. This offensive line is worse.
Exactly.
It's
They're just going to
literally
take
worse.
turns getting sacked. Like,
Yes. So it's like, that's why, I mean, listen, I agree. I also want the Panthers to be able to beat the division rival, but just based on evidence and what I've seen from the football team, what I've seen from our coaches, and how bad our offensive line is. Now, my only hope that I do have, and I said this before the season started this year, if Brady Christensen and Deontay Brown got some playing time, it would be because there were injuries in front of them that forced Matt Rhule into playing them. So basically, he has no choice but to play the younger guys. Yep. The only scenario where the Panthers are victorious, in my opinion, is if our young offensive linemen step up, give Cam Newton some time to distribute the football, hit some deep shots, run the football. Yeah, man, we might be able to edge this out, but dude, we have to play the best football that we have all season.
What about this question?
Yeah, go ahead.
What are the odds? Because someone in the chat had sort of pointed it out as well, and I think it's a good question to like throw around to everyone. Like, what are the odds the Bucs even come to play? They're just going to rest everyone. We're a playoff team. We don't even need to bother with this.
They have to come to play. They want that.
They want home field advantage. They got to play for that 1 seed.
Yeah,
so they have still in it for the 1. They still get it.
Yeah, they can still get it. They're 1 game behind Green Bay, I think.
Yeah, they're in a firefight with the Packers and the Cardinals right now for that number 1 seed, and I think they're definitely going to be very ready to play us, Vince, because they lost 9-0 against the New Orleans Saints. So Tom Brady and the rest of the football team, they're pissed off. They're pissed off, and they're on the road. So they have I imagine a chip on their shoulder. I mean, look, they're trying to prove that they are the football team that won the Super Bowl last year. So
is AB
I think so.
Antonio Brown will be playing. He is.
Brown will play. Oh man, but no Mike Evans though. Mike Evans will not be playing. So
yeah, but that means
again, they're dealing with some injuries.
Jones and AB.
Yeah.
Worst receivers that beat them.
And then also, you'd have to consider, I was thinking about this earlier. At what point during this season has Matt Rhule outcoached the coach on the other sideline?
Not a single time.
Never.
Nope.
More often than not, it feels like they're better prepared for us.
For sure. He doesn't seem to be an X's and O's type of guy.
Or last year.
Or even last year, yeah.
Well, I mean, like Tony pointed it out. Each win we've had this year has had a circumstance to each win we've had. Week 1 versus the Jets, Zach Wilson's first game, Salah's first game. Week 2, the Saints are missing 7-8 coaches. Week 3, injury riddled and dumpster fire of an organization, Texans team that we had to play.
Yep.
And then, the Cardinals win was very suspicious too because you had Colt McCoy playing and he folded, obviously. So, I mean, literally this team hasn't had a statement win because every win that they've had this year has always had that butt.
Questionable. Yeah.
Atlanta.
I mean, that's still a butt. Yeah, that's a big butt still on that one.
Yeah, right, Atlanta. Hey, congratulations! You beat another terrible.
There was still a big butt on that one. That was that week that Calvin Ridley decided he wasn't going to be playing football for the rest of the year.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, no Calvin
Ridley. There's still a butt on that one.
Yeah, then they came back and paddled our ass, dude. It's embarrassing, man.
I got a coaching question for you guys.
Yeah.
What happened to all the fake punts that we had last year?
All the what?
Oh, good point. Fake punts.
Analytics,
Yeah, I
dude.
mean, dude, I think, and that's another thing that
games the last year that we
Yes.
could run fake punts.
Yeah. And how about this? That doesn't get talked about enough by any of us. Our special teams is worse this year than it was last year, and it was the direct cause of us losing at least two games.
Eagles
this
game
year?
for sure.
For
We don't
sure.
even have a punt
Philadelphia.
returner. All it does is catch. I've never seen him return a punt.
Yeah, I mean, probably because we've been so far down most of the time. Like we're not losing by a little.
Yeah.
We end up losing by a lot.
But
so-
doesn't that also lead to the same, like, even if we are losing by a lot, isn't that a momentum shifter if we can make it happen? Like, I mean, think about last week, for
True.
instance. Like, there were opportunities where we ended up having to either go for it on fourth down or so because we didn't have a kicker, right? And so I think when you have that, that like, even if you're at the 40-yard line and you're saying you're going to bring out your punter, they're not going to be expecting you to kick, like, to do a fake punt, like on the 40-yard line, because they're thinking, oh, you just don't have a kicker. I feel like personally, if I'm a coach, that's the opportunity I'm taking instead of going for fourth down and then having them be prepared for whatever I'm about to do, because it's clear that our offense can't win based on like a predictable one-on-one. So you have to rely on trick plays, which I think has been the bane of our special teams, is we haven't really had any consistency there. But like the one thing that is consistent is we haven't, like you said, we haven't run those trick plays, we haven't run those fakes. And I think last week was an opportunity to do that.
Yeah, dude, there have been we thought we were done with missed opportunities when Ron Rivera left the Carolina Panthers, but there have been nothing but a ton of missed opportunities this season. An opportunity to evaluate our own players, get meaningful snaps to young guys. And I know we always mention Brady Christensen and Deontay Brown, but even guys like Terrace Marshall Jr. and Shi Smith and and even your Turk Gross-Matos, like they're basically rendered ineffective because they're never given time to play football. You don't get good at football when you're not allowed to play football.
Right.
And then if I'm just being real, I'm not sure I trust this football team going forward on fourth down.
Nope.
Like those are the kind of plays that when you're a good football team, yeah, you can make them look good. But when you're a bad football team and you're having to reach into your bag of tricks to mount any kind of offense, that's how you embarrass yourself and let your opponent start at your 45-yard line. You know what I mean?
I mean, we always talk about how stressful the games are to watch. We're already
Cardiac
stressed
cat.
out enough. Like,
Yeah.
geez.
Cardiac cats, baby. That's who we are, man. That's our brand.
Right.
Yeah.
Used to be.
No, I mean, yeah, right. We haven't even been competitive in most of the games that we played, dude. It's sad, man. It really is.
And that's been my argument all season. Is I don't care how many games we win or lose this season, because I knew that we were in the middle of a rebuild. What I cared about was us being relevant and us being
Making progress.
competitive in these games.
Yeah.
Last year we were competitive in each one. So if you're talking about a rebuild, and that's the hat you want to hang on your hook, okay, then that means that you need to be competitive in almost the same amount of games that we were competitive in last year. And that hasn't been the case, and that can be for a magnitude of reasons. But I think it all comes back on coaching. You can sit here and say that the O-line has sucked. You can sit here and say that the quarterback play in the middle of the season has sucked. You can sit here and say that the receivers haven't done what they've needed to and haven't caught the ball when they've needed to.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it all comes back onto coaching. When you have that much fault on the field and you don't have an answer for it, that's coaching.
And even basic things. Like everybody's made such a big deal out of that 4th and 1 play where we threw the screen pass. And it was a terrible, terrible play call, man. It's like,
It was.
You have Cam Newton, who is this giant human being playing quarterback, and you're not just going to let him carry the ball for the 1 extra yard? Like, it's ridiculous, man. And real quick, I mentioned this earlier about Jonathan Jones reporting that Matt Rhule would be safe. According to him, he was told that the Panthers would not be making a head coaching change. They will be staying pat this season. Joe Person also went on the radio and said that the sense that he gets is that Matt Rhule is safe. Is there anyone here that doesn't believe Joe Person and Jonathan Alexander? Not that they're lying to you, but do you still foresee a scenario where, let's say the Panthers lose all games going forward this season, do you still think there is a real chance that Matt Rhule could be fired? Not if you want him to be fired, if David Tepper will actually fire him. Do you think that there's a chance it could still happen?
If it's going to happen, it's going to be at the end of the season. It's not going to be in the middle.
Yeah,
I think if it happens, it has to happen if the team just gets blown out in 2 of these next 3. I mean, it has to be the team doesn't show up, the team plays flat, they look horrible at all aspects of the game.
I think if it happens in season, just like Ron Rivera.
Dude, Kevin, you stole my answer, dude. That's my official prediction. Remember my nickname for David Tepper, Mr. Day Late Dollar Short. Okay, he does everything far too late, and he does it backwards. So yeah, Matt Rhule will be fired, but it will not be this year. It'll probably be in the middle of the season next year, even though it should have happened this offseason.
Well, and there's also a bit of like a reality check coming with all this money going out to all these different people. I mean, is it realistic that he could even, you know what I mean, just to can him now in the middle of the season? I mean, you're right. It's probably going to happen at the end. It probably won't happen in the middle.
Yeah. Factor 1 in the chat room. Happy that we didn't take Justin Fields. He's a Bears fan and he's happy they got Justin. And that's another thing too, man. If we have another year where the first round picks that we pass on have a fantastic ball out year and we get nothing in return. And granted, I'm not talking shit about JC Horn. We all feel JC Horn's going to be a damn good cornerback in the NFL. But, man, imagine if you had a Rashawn Slater right now. If we knew that we had Justin Fields, it didn't matter what we'd be paying Cam, what we'd be paying Sam Darnold. We would know that we have a rookie quarterback.
We wouldn't even have Sam Darnold.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, we probably would have had Sam because we traded for Sam. Yeah, we wouldn't have Cam Newton. But we would have Justin Fields, and we would have a younger rookie quarterback on
and you wouldn't have picked up Sam's option for next year.
Yes, man.
I mean, sure, in that sense, yes, but am I the only one that feels like, even if like Fields was back there, that maybe it'd only be marginally better? Would he be successful here?
No, that's the thing. And no, Vince, that's a fantastic point. We're not even saying that Justin Fields would have been good this year. None of the rookie quarterbacks, outside of the one that went to the fucking Patriots, none of them have been good this year. Not Justin, not and let me take that back. They have all had their moments when you can see, oh yeah, that's why you draft that player when you draft that player. But they've been on very bad football teams, bad offensive lines, and none of them have looked particularly well, especially when graded amongst their contemporaries this year.
None of them have weapons either.
However, knowing that your quarterback gets better year after year, and you have him on a rookie contract where you're not paying him 40% of your salary cap, it's so beneficial to have that young, talented quarterback, and with a 5th-year option, no less.
That's why I say we give Cam the minimum, because who are we competing with when signing him?
Yeah.
Who else is going to give him a contract?
I don't think Cam has a market outside of the Panthers.
I mean,
if I'm being honest,
traded for Sam Darnold, they said that the Panthers were only ones willing to trade for him a second.
Which is
like we're constantly competing against ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Like at this point in time, like everything we've done up to this point has just been showing our cards. Like, I mean, we talk about like why we did what we did and going after Sam Darnold. I'm more worried about why we just told everybody that's what we're doing by saying, let's go ahead and try to give everything we have to go get Matt Stafford, let that fall through, and then try to put a trade like it was already in the news that we were looking to trade Teddy Bridgewater even prior to getting Sam Darnold. So now you're also giving away that card. I mean, it just and even with the whole Cam Newton ordeal, like you should have been trying to trade Cam Newton before buying Teddy Bridgewater. Yeah. And if you couldn't trade him, go with Cam. There was no point in releasing that man or going about it. It's every time it just seems like the Carolina Panthers are 3 steps behind all these other organizations. It's so irritating.
What does Skip Bayless call them?
Clown
show. Yeah.
And that's what we are.
I mean, I really want, I know this sounds super heady. I'm not as into all the nitty gritty details as a lot of you guys are, but I want to feel like the team cares about itself and the players they do have, because it just seems like everything's kind of going downhill. Everything's getting worse. I know we've hinted at that. I know it's not like a one-person problem. Throwing Cam out the window doesn't fix anything. We're left with all the same problems, and that's just what do you guys think? What do we do? We talked about the draft coming around the corner. I mean, what's the because I'm it's probably what I know the least, and I know some people in the chat. A lot of the same questions are going around. It's like, what do we think? What do you do if you own this team?
Yeah, so, I mean, go ahead, Nick.
So what I do if I own this team, okay, is you got to get rid of Matt Rhule. You got to get rid of the whole coaching staff at the end of the season. You got to bring in somebody who has NFL experience. Me personally, I want somebody who's offensive minded. Okay, in the draft, you either trade back in the first round, okay, and you get as many picks as you possibly can. Yep. I don't care if it's a later first round pick and 107th round picks. You want as many picks as you can possibly get, because right now we don't have enough capital to rebuild and refill the positions that we're going to be short on. Okay, in the draft, go for offensive linemen. If you can get a second and third round pick back somehow this year, go for a center first or a guard, one of the two. Then go for a center next. Because let's face it, our centers, they aren't playing the way that they should. Okay. Yeah. Then you pick up a linebacker in the third round. All right. And then you fill whatever needs after that. But you don't take a quarterback unless if it's way later as someone who's going to be a backup, because PJ is not going to be on the roster next year.
Yeah. So my answer, and I'll make it as short as I can, I'm firing Matt Rhule. I'm going to get Eric Bieniemy to see if he wants to come. So, I mean, obviously you have to go through the interview process. I'm just saying, in an ideal world, I hire Eric Bieniemy. I let him make his own staff. I look at the players on the team that I think could be replaceable, and I try and move on from them. Again, I don't know the nitty-gritty details on Christian McCaffrey's contract and how movable it is. But after this season, if you were able to move Christian and try and get some value for him, I probably would. I probably would try and move DJ Moore first. Brian Burns, trying to trade him, that's tough for me because, I understand that we might have been disappointed in him a little bit this season. But even in spite of it all, I still feel like he could potentially have that it factor, and he might turn on in a big way and, really turn out to be a very good football player.
I agree.
But then again, the point was also made earlier, now that he's a Pro Bowler, his trade value goes up in a draft that is heavy on edge, and now you're getting more value for that player than you otherwise would have. I mean, honestly, I would trade back in the draft, try and fill up on offensive line as much as possible, and just continue to fill out the trenches.
Right.
The NFL football games are won in the trenches, and that's where you have to build the football team. The Panthers have neglected it for almost a decade, it feels like, and it's long overdue. So that's what I would do.
Like a rebuild, in my opinion, is not getting rid of everybody that's valuable either. So I think you're right, Cody. Like, I think the approach of let's just sell the farm and then start over, like it's hard to do that. Like, even if you want to talk about a 3-year rebuild, Like, you're not going to be able to rebuild every aspect of your team in 3 years and without having like 5-year contracts that you sign from free agency, right? So if you already have a guy that can be that fill in that spot, why let him go? Especially if he's already familiar with the organization, because you're gonna pay a hell of a lot more for a free agent on the open market than you are somebody that, like a Brian Burns. I think right now, I mean, yes, he's got the Pro Bowl, and to go to your point, I think that the trade value for Burns is not going to be that high because of the fact that there's so much edge value in the draft this year. I think that tells me that teams aren't going to be pushing and pursuing for a edge guy that they're going to have to end up paying for after 1 year, when there are opportunities to do that in the draft this year.
Yeah.
But my approach is, like I said before, I think as an organization, the best way to go about it is to play this. Matt Rhule, I hate to say it because I don't like it. I think you have to keep Matt Rhule, because again, you're putting a new coach in a much worse position if you approach it the way of like, let's fire Matt Rhule, hire somebody else, because he's coming in with a contract that he has to eat with Sam Darnold, and either keep Sam Darnold or not. If he decides to keep Sam Darnold, well, obviously then we're going to be going the tanking route. But I don't know, dude. Like I don't think that you tank. I think that, all right, let me rephrase. I don't think you get rid of Matt Rhule, because that's essentially just restarting from scratch. And I think after next year is a much more favorable situation for a new coach, because you got to think about, we won't have a guaranteed contract for any quarterbacks after that year. Because I don't think we're going to be paying for Teddy Bridgewater after next, because he was a 3-year deal initially.
Yeah.
So he's not going to have a contract on. He's not going to worry about that. He's going to have, a couple of people that he can kind of get a feel of who he wants to keep with his regime based on how they do this year. But outside of that, I don't like. I that's why I think Matt Rhule sticks around for 1 more year. And best case scenario is he does really well. He rebounds from all this, and then we're really ecstatic. It's what happened with Ron Rivera. So maybe we have a resurgence in him, and we see everything that we thought we could see out of him, which is a culture, a rebuilder, if you will, and who's able to actually get people to rally around his coaching style.
And that's a good point.
Between him and Ron Rivera is that Ron finished strong in November and December and gave us looking forward into the next year. Rhule has won 2 games in December? No, he's won 1 game in December. And that was
his Matt Rhule's record in November and December is abysmal. And frankly, we are who we are. But listen, as much as I don't like it, I agree with a lot of what CK said, just for the fact of, we have all known this thing about Matt Rhule. Oh, the 3rd year, the magical 3rd year. And it's like to fire him literally right before that 3rd year. Now, granted, if I'm the decision maker, I don't give a damn. I feel like I've seen enough of who Matt Rhule is, and I'm doing it anyway. And then you're continuing to kick this can, down the road for another year. I tell you what, if Matt Rhule isn't fired at the end of this year, David Tepper better be willing to give Matt Rhule the entire year next year. I don't want to hear this bullshit of like firing him mid-season after it doesn't work out and David Tepper pitches another temper tantrum because the season isn't going the way that he wanted it to. Yeah, a temper tantrum, dude. I don't want to hear that. And by the way, I want to give a warning to all 6 people in here and all 79 people viewing the show right now. You need to prepare yourself, because the Panthers are going to be connected to a bunch of free agent quarterbacks this season. They're saying that the Browns might be interested in Deshaun Watson. I would not put it past the Panthers to then be interested in Baker Mayfield.
No.
We're also not running away from the Deshaun Watson conversation. We don't know what's going to happen. What's going to happen?
Aaron Rodgers. You also think about Russell Wilson. I mean, there's plenty of people that are out there that are known to be wanting a new team. And I think after this year, the number 1 at the top of that list is Russell Wilson. So I agree with that.
Nobody is going to agree to come here with the offensive line the way it is.
No quarterback wants to do that.
Money talks.
Yeah, that's true, man. Whenever you offer up sacks of cash.
What money do we have?
We ain't got no money to throw at Wilson or Rodgers, so throw that one out the window.
Yeah, I mean, quite honestly, we're looking at like maybe Jimmy Garoppolo, maybe Derek Carr, or Josh Carr, whichever one of the two is still in the league.
Derek
Carr.
Derek. And they're trying to make a playoff push right now. And by the way,
honestly, I wouldn't be bad about Jimmy Garoppolo if we fix the offensive line.
No way. I saw Jimmy Garoppolo enough in New England. I'm all set with that one.
Yeah, I agree with Nick, man. Like, I feel like we're kicking the tires on all these, game manager quarterbacks that can distribute the football. Dude, I want a franchise quarterback, man.
You gotta wait for that.
I've been spoiled.
We had the opportunity for that last year, Cody.
I know we did. And I guess I'm just, as a Panther fan, I've been spoiled by Cam Newton's prime years and what he was able to do. And
you weren't there for Jimmy Clausen, were you?
Oh, good.
No, I remember him. I remember watching the Panthers
Matt Moore
a few times when that happened. But yeah, man, like Cam Newton started my passion for the Carolina Panthers. So I'm not accustomed to so many seasons of mediocre quarterback play, man. And I'm not going nowhere, but these younger fans, and me, Tony, and CK have been having this conversation on Tuesday night. Dude, if you don't give the young fans something to hold on to, they're gonna go be fans of other football teams.
They'll be Chiefs fans.
Well, it's like that one caller said he was getting picked on for being a Panther fan.
Yeah, dude, so sad, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, you want a franchise quarterback, you keep asking for it, and Matt Rhule's going to draft Kenny Pickett.
I mean, I know I sound like a broken record, but it's got to come from the inside out. I mean, Cody said it, Drew said it. If the line doesn't hold, it doesn't matter who's here. You can draft whoever the hell you want, and I just don't think it'll matter.
I just think you go with the Chiefs game plan. They had Alex Smith for so many years, built the team up, then got their quarterback.
And by the way, to be honest, like, I haven't done a full evaluation of Kenny Pickett yet. So I'm a Clemson fan. Pitt beat Clemson this year. So I got to see the dude make some big plays firsthand.
Didn't he has the record for most touchdowns in the ACC?
Yeah, dude.
Right?
Yeah, and he also beat Dan Marino's touchdown record at the University of Pitt.
And he's got small hands.
Yeah, so that's another thing.
No.
He
wears two gloves
hands
too, so Matt Rhule might not like that and remind him of Teddy.
But then again, they have a history with one another. He almost went to Temple. He was committed. He was committed to Temple before he decommitted and went to Pitt when Pitt offered him.
That's the reason why he won't be here. Matt Rhule won't let that one happen.
And see, my thing is this: I haven't done a full evaluation of really most of the quarterbacks yet. When I do, there's going to be content on this channel of me breaking down those players, I promise. But, my criticism, and I feel like most of our criticism, isn't 100% on Pickett. It's just we're putting another quarterback in another terrible position, and you're setting them up to fail. Pickett might be a good player, but he's damn sure not going to show it behind this offensive line.
We can easily trade that pick to Pittsburgh, who's desperate for a quarterback right now.
Yeah, but see, the quarterbacks in this year's draft, they're not very highly touted. So I feel like even if you're a quarterback or a quarterback needy football team in like the teens and the 20s, a quarterback might fall to you that you want, like potentially a Dennis Ritter. Matt Corral is the name.
Don't show your cards.
Do you guys think there's any chance that Roethlisberger plays any more after the season?
No, he's done. Yeah, he already said he's done after this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, good thing. Dude, I got my sister tickets to his game or to his last home game because she's a Steelers fan.
Yeah, I think he's done because I think that he respects Tomlin as a coach. And if Ben Roethlisberger is there as a quarterback next year, he's also putting Tomlin's job at risk because he's not able to. I mean, he's not the same quarterback. I don't care what they say. I mean, he can't even do what Drew Brees did, which is you still win the game with his intellect. I don't think Ben Roethlisberger has been able. He hasn't been a game changer for his team in at least 5 years.
Yeah.
He looks like an old man.
Yeah.
I mean,
honestly, I completely forget that he's a quarter. I cannot remember. Like, I can't remember there ever being a highlight film of him over the past 2 or 3 years. Like, when you tell me he's still a quarterback in the league, it kind of surprises me.
I mean, it does, but it doesn't. I mean, look at quarterbacks that have outstayed their welcome before.
Mike
Drew, but I mean, even look at Drew Brees recently. I mean, that team carried him, into the playoffs. Look at Peyton Manning when they beat us in the Super Bowl. Peyton Manning was a shell of his former self.
Yeah, he was.
And honestly, like, I know people hate the dude, but it makes Tom Brady all the more impressive when you look at what that dude's doing at fucking 43 years old.
I mean, he's still got a cannon, dude. Like, people talk about he doesn't have the ability to throw it deep.
But he leads the NFL in touchdowns, yards, and QBR, I think. Like, the dude's unreal, man. And yeah, listen, he's the type of quarterback that has to have a good offensive line. But still, for him to be able to push the ball downfield at definitely. Like 44 years old, dude, that guy, I want whatever he's doing.
I'm sorry, when you're getting shut out by the Saints and you're going over to the sidelines to talk shit to the other.
Dude, I cannot stand him. But
yeah, no. I'm sorry. That right there, that's bullshit. How the hell he didn't get called for taunting is beyond me. Oh, wait, I forgot. He's Tom Brady.
I was about to say, I mean, it's not beyond you,
And what did he do? Like, he told one of the other coaches to go fuck themselves or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, Tom Brady's a savage. So we're at an hour and 30 minutes in. I'm gonna go around to each of you. Tell me what you're looking for in this game, and then give me a score prediction. And then you know what? Give me one thing that just as a Panther fan, one thing that you're thankful for as we close out this 2021 season. I know it's not Thanksgiving and it's hard to find something, but that's
New Year. I mean,
New Year. But I know we're trying to be positive going into a brand new year. So, some of the things that you'll be looking for in the game, final score prediction, and one football Panther related thing that you are thankful for. We'll go with our newest free-for-all member first, my buddy Vince, my brother. What do you think, man?
Hey, yeah, real quick, once again, I really appreciate the invite, having me on here. It's been a pleasure.
Definitely,
It's a nice family we got going here.
For sure.
Really appreciate it. So, right off the bat, what I'm thankful for the Panther season, I mean, it wasn't as injury ridden as it could have been. I mean, it could have been so much worse. I mean, everyone could be hurt from head to toe, and I think we're gonna make out somewhat okay, all things considered. In terms of the game, coming up, score prediction. Oh man, I don't know. That's a tough one. I might just defer that. I mean, I'm not sure what we're looking like.
It doesn't matter if you're right or wrong. Just throw out what's your gut feeling. You think Tampa's going to win by 14 points? Then say 28-14.
Yeah. I mean, I think something like that is not beyond the realm of what's possible. I'm hoping we see a team stand up and make a statement. You're against the Bucs, you're against a division rival. The Bucs are kind of reeling. They need a statement. We said that earlier. So I think it'd be a nice time to go to war. You know what I mean? So hopefully, I'm hoping the score is much closer than I think we all kind of think it might be.
Yeah.
What was the other thing? One last thing, or
I mean, no, just something to look out for, and if there's a specific matchup on the O line or D line, but that's
the trenches, man. There's the line. That's gonna be the tail of the game. Drew said it. The Bucs have a vicious front. We know they don't have a secondary, so we know what their plan is, right? We know how they operate. We know what they're going to do. We know what they bring. So we have a chance to get ready and really, stand up in the front and go to war with them, and maybe some magic can happen.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of us have a feeling like we might be competitive, man. We might, especially. And another thing to remember too, and I'm glad I mentioned this before we get out of here. This, if Cam Newton isn't signed another year, this is going to be Cam Newton's final home game as a Carolina Panther. And the last time he played what we thought was his final game as a Carolina Panther, it was also against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and it did not look very good. So, man, I'm hoping.
I was at that game, man.
Yeah, that's right, dude. I'm hoping that if this, that this game can turn out different for for Cam, man, everything that he gives to this football team, the fans. I always feel the urge to stick up for him just because he's such maligned and everyone just puts all the blame on him. But
I mean, he plays with his heart out there. Love him, hate him. The guy loves this organization and the guy loves football.
And how about this? Cam Newton didn't have to come back to this dumpster fire football team, but he did it anyway and gave Panther fans, a really exciting week and a half. So thank God for that. Santa Nick, jolly old Saint Nick, what might be your prediction of this Panthers Buccaneers matchup? And will you get your Santa's little helpers to build you your own seat behind the end zone this year?
Well, see, if I'm gonna have my little helpers help me, they're gonna break Tom Brady's legs.
Oh, all right. All right.
I'm hoping that Burns and Reddick can do that for me this weekend, so that way I don't have to employ my elves. But if I need to, I will. Tom Brady's been in the league long enough. It's time for you to crawl in your hole and die. I'm done.
Leave an extra gift under their tree to give them some extra incentive.
Yeah. But no, I mean, if you had talked to me closer to the beginning of the season, I would have thought that the game would be close. I just don't think that the coaching staff has it to compete with Bruce Arians. And I think that's where we're going to fall short.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with 24-14.
Okay.
And
that's respectable.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that we have 3 sacks on the day. I'm hoping we have at least 3. But
that's a good one. Just hit him.
Yeah,
man. Just hit Tom Brady.
I mean, it's the only way you're gonna have a chance. You gotta strike fear in that guy, and force mistakes.
Yeah. I mean, as far as what I'm thankful for, I mean, I'm really thankful for how the defense was at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
Let's face it, defense. They were something to be excited for almost all season long. I feel like they've fallen off a cliff close to the end of the season. But there's some talent on defense, and it sucks that we lost J.C. Horn in the 3rd week. And I think if we had J.C. Horn this entire season, this season might have gone quite a bit differently, even with Sam Darnold.
Yeah. And, dude, that's a great point, man, especially if next year, if J.C. Horn comes back and balls out, dude, we're going to be, looking at that guy as, it was very important when he went down this year. And it's kind of coincidental that right as he goes down, that's when our defense kind of falls off a cliff. He's definitely really important to what we do here in Carolina.
Well, and on top of that, if you really think about it, Cody.
Yeah.
Okay, we essentially lost our 1st-round pick right at the beginning of the season. Imagine trading for Deshaun Watson or Trevor Lawrence or any one of those guys and giving up multiple 1st-round picks over the courses of years. Imagine not having your J.C. Horn. Imagine not having your Brian Burns. Imagine not having Derek Brown. And the list goes on and on, how much that affects the team. Yeah, that's the reason why we can't go out and trade for one of those veteran quarterbacks. It's just gonna cripple us for years.
Yeah, we don't have the cap space really. I mean, we have a little bit of money, but not enough for everyone. And we don't have a lot of picks, man. And we still need players everywhere. It's gonna be tough sledding, man. Scott Fitterer, our general manager, he definitely has the road. He has some tough work cut out for him. Let's go to KPM. this is KPM's first time on the show too, man. I'm so happy you could join us today, man. Yeah. What are you looking for in this matchup? What's your final score prediction? And what's one Panther football related thing that you're thankful for?
All right, so I'll just go ahead and get the Panther related football out of the way. So one thing I'm thankful for is the fan base. Let's be honest. Without the fan base, you wouldn't have a C3 podcast. You wouldn't have many places where you could go to interact with other fans and just overall talk football with. I mean, what other better feeling is there to have than to talk football with other people, especially when they have the same interests as you? One thing I'm looking for multiple things on Sunday. One, how is this 2-quarterback system going to work? Will Darnold come in and try to save the day and end up turning over the football like PJ does? Or who's going to step up and make something happen on offense or do something dumb on offense and turn the ball over? And another thing I'm looking for is, can the defensive line hold up against the Bucs offensive line? The defensive line has struggled the past couple of weeks against the run game. Last week against Devin Singletary, they let Singletary have his best game of the year. And overall, if you can stop the run, you're forcing Brady to pass the ball, and we have one of the better pass defenses in the league. But in my honest opinion, I really don't like our chances. With them coming off a 9-0 loss, they're going to have a lot of motivation to come out and make a statement victory. Plus, they're also competing for a number 1 seed in the NFC. I say the final score is going to be 27-13 Bucs.
27-13. And see, like, even scores like that, they don't even seem that bad to me. You know, like that to me, that could be halfway competitive for most of the game. You know, I like that. And dude, I echo everything that you just said about the Panther fan base and community, man. Like, I know I do this show, but dude, I need this podcast just as much as you all do, man. I mean, you know, it's been so fun to do this and get to know everybody and know all the Panther fans. Like, I feel like when we lose, I'm not alone. I'm not suffering by myself. There's a whole community of people that we can vent to and relate to. So I love that answer, KPM. I thank you so much for joining the show today. Kevin Boshoven, my man, my brother, tell me about this matchup, man, and something that you're thankful for with this Panther football team.
I think I think we win this game 14-13. I think it's going to be low scoring. One thing I'm going to be looking for in this game, I want to look at the people in the stands. And I want to see if somebody wears a clown mask. Show Tepper, you know. And one thing I'm thankful for is that the season's almost over.
That's a good one, dude. The sorrow and the torment is almost over.
Just rip it off.
Yeah, just rip off the Band-Aid, man. Wow. Can't believe it. Dude, I can't believe the season's almost done. I felt like it wasn't that long ago. We were just starting the season, and now we're wrapping up on things.
Right.
Man.
Right. We were 3-0 5 minutes ago.
Oh, yeah, the number one. We had a historic defense. Come on, man. How the mighty have fallen. Drew, my brother from up north, tell us what you think. What's going to be the final score? What are you looking for? And what are you thankful for about these Panthers?
I'm thankful for getting to see Cam Newton one more time in a Panthers uniform in Bank of America Stadium.
Preach.
Me too.
I'm looking to see how badly Vita Vea abuses Sam Tecklenburg and John Miller.
Okay.
The final score, 42-14 Bucs.
Ooh.
And you know, as
Tom
big
Brady's
as that,
pissed.
yeah, he is, man. He is pissed, dude. And we're missing
blown
players.
out. How does Matt Rhule not get fired? Because these past 4 games has just been blowouts.
Yeah. It's been bad, man. It's been all bad. That's why I'm not
We're
so
everybody's get right game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Everyone. Every bad football team, they end up getting right against the Carolina
Play Detroit
Panthers,
this year?
Nope. Thank God. Because they probably
They wish we
shellacked us.
did.
Yeah, and dude, you know what? That football team, they're playing for Dan Campbell. You know,
Yeah,
say
man.
what you want about how they started, but now, you know, I guess crying in front of your press conference, that kind of stuff works. I guess. Who knew, man?
Dude, like it's when you see a coach like that has that much emotion for his guys. Like, I mean, analytics is one thing, but being a leader is a huge impact as a coach, and I think that that's what you're seeing over there with those guys. I mean, every single one of them are fighting for their coach. Same thing with like the Falcons. I mean, the Falcons are in a lost season too, and those guys are coming out every single week and finding a way to either get better or compete in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
You know,
Dan
don't
Campbell
see
won
that
the
in
Detroit
Carolina.
job too. Like he played for Detroit.
Yeah.
But see, those guys, as CK said, those guys are fighting for Dan Campbell. I don't see the same here in Carolina.
No.
Yeah,
Not
I
at all.
don't see it either. I don't think any of us do. But and last but certainly not least, the man with the golden voice himself joining us again on the free for all.
Yep.
My brother, CK Codizzle Allen, streamer extraordinaire. Tell us what you're thankful for in relation to Panther football. What matchups are you looking for in this game?
Yep.
And what is your final score?
All right, so I'm thankful for, again, I think a lot of us have a similar sentiment on this. I'm thankful to see Cam Newton play for our squad. And even though it's not been the homecoming that we would have hoped for, he has been a breath of fresh air for a squad that has been largely just disappointing. So that part, I'm thankful for that. I am expecting this to be a way more competitive than I think anybody's given this squad credit for.
Yeah.
But that's just me. So what to look out for? I don't know. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, just look out for our defense to actually try to be competitive in some way, shape, or form, I guess.
Okay.
I mean, I think Tom Brady comes out and shits the bed against this defense, if I'm being honest.
Wow.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
I mean,
it's interesting.
That's the thing is, like, I think that the score, I could see, I'm right there, you know, of the same mind. I think there is a possibility this is a win for the Carolina Panthers, even though we don't want that. You got to keep in mind, we have a lot of players playing for contracts right now. Like, a lot of players playing for contracts.
Mhm.
So you can have, you know, and also broken clocks, right? Twice a day. And I think this is the type of game that suits what Matt Rhule would like to do, which is a run and gun type of a game. You know, at the same time, because that's the only way you beat a defensive line that's just got pressure left and right, is to get a run game started, to where they have to second guess and play the play action and whatnot. But I don't know, man. I think the score 14-10 Carolina Panthers.
Oh, close one. Close one.
Oh, it's not a high scoring. This is not going to be a high scoring game. Yeah.
Okay. I like that. So last but not least, I'll go last here. I'm going to do it the other way around. I'm going to say my score prediction first. I'm going to predict 34-17. I don't think it'll be relatively close late in the game.
Mm-hmm.
I think early, the Panthers are going to show signs of life, and they're going to put up a good fight. It's just the second half of football where I think what jolly old Saint Nick said, man, when you look across the sideline, you know, we give Tom Brady all the love, but that's Bruce Arians over there. Mm-hmm. And Bruce Arians is a badass head coach, and I think down the stretch, he will have his team better prepared, especially when they're fighting to make a playoff push. I hate it. I hope Cam Newton at least looks halfway decent. You know, I still want Cam Newton to be the quarterback going forward. So in order for that to happen, I need Cam to look good. Yeah. I want to know if we're going to be able to – what I'm looking for is the performances of one, Brady Christensen, and potentially Sam Tecklenburg and Deontay Brown should they see the field at some point in time. I think they're a lot better than our head coach lets on, and I'm excited to see if I'm right about that or not. And last but not least, what I'm thankful for is the Friday free-for-all. This has been the first year that we have done the Friday free-for-all, and I love it, man. The cult of Friday free-for-all, dude. I feel like I know you boys. I love you boys, man. Nick, Kevin, Drew, CK. I mean, Vince, KPM. I love you boys, man. I love everyone in the chat room that comes in for the therapy session, the C3 family that we've built up. It's enriched my life in so many ways, and I love to do it, man. So I'm happy for y'all, happy for the C3 podcast, and I'm happy that the Panthers give me an opportunity to do this, and I have a good time doing it. So,
Amen.
I'm happy that you got a Gamecock shirt on right now.
Oh, shut up. No, I don't. I'm wearing my my Christmas color shirt.
I gotta give a shout out to Noah, man, because that kid, he's got a lot of heart and he wants to see this team do things.
Absolutely.
And Dave Tepper, look at what you're doing to the kids, man.
That's the thing. This is his investment, and that's the thing that, like, you know, as much as he loves football and he wants to have a competitive squad, the reason he wants a competitive squad is because it is his money that is on the line, and he has got a giant, you know, team facility coming along the way. If we become a perpetually bad team, that is going to be a tough hit on the good old pockets of David Tepper, because like it's no surprise when you look at the, you know, some of these really bad teams and they can barely fill up a stadium. Like, I mean, are these owners like on the verge of bankruptcy? Probably not, but you know, these guys are hurting. That's a good chunk of money that they're missing out on. Jersey sales, merchandise, the even just the concessions. Like, it's so much that they're missing out on if they're, you know, bad teams, and you're seeing it right now at the Panthers.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. And one last thing that I'll say before we get off here too. I have a New Year's resolution. There's a bunch of people in the chat room that I see every Friday that hang out in the chat. I'm trying to convert some of you and bring you on the show, man. I want to hear your voices, see your faces. I want to hear what you have to say about the Carolina Panthers, man. That's what the Friday free-for-all is all about. It's your show, your opportunity to tell us what you think about our favorite football team, these Carolina Panthers, baby. And it's the last Friday free-for-all of 2021. I have been your host, Cody Lashney. There will be no free-for-all next Friday. I have family over in town. I'm going to be chilling with the fam. I wish everyone a very Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year. I wish health and blessings to everyone's family. And that will do it for another edition of the C3 Friday Free-for-All. Until Sunday, the post-game show on Sunday. My name's Cody Lashley. Keep pounding.
Ho, ho, ho.